Ladies and gentlemen, will you please be upstanding for the Deputy Mayor?
Do the minute silence first. Can we remain upstanding, please, for a minute in memory of Stan Thomas? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may remove your jackets.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I just give you the usual reminder that these proceedings are being recorded for subsequent webcast, and that all of your words will be recorded. Can everybody please remember to switch on their microphone if they're going to be speaking, and you will therefore need to speak through the chair. So even if you're seconding a motion, can you indicate, and then you'll be called to speak, and then you'll need to remember to put your microphone on. There isn't anybody in the public gallery, but if there were anybody in the public gallery, they would be consenting to broadcast by being present. Thank you.
Are there any apologies for absence, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor. Councillor David Isaac, Councillor Clive Jones, Councillor Gareth Jones and Councillor Brian Mansbridge.
Can I draw your attention to item 2 on the agenda, declarations of interest, and note A and B. Do we have any, please? We'll go straight into item number 3 then, and I believe it's the Deputy Leader to take this.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. The purpose of this report is to present for approval by Council a final audited statement of accounts for the 2014-15 financial year. You've already had the booklet that's attached to it as well, which gives the full detail. If you can bear with me for a few hours, I'll just run through that booklet page by page. But instead of that, I'll hand you over to Steve Jones to run through the main issues arising out of the annual report, and then I'll come back and make the recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Phil. His actual accounts have been audited, and now they have to be approved by Council by the end of this month, and that is in compliance with the accounts and audit regs. The accounts have also been in front of Audit Committee, and again they just have been approved by the Audit Committee. What the actual report is the executive summary of the accounts, and what I actually want to focus on are the 3 main parts of the accounts, which is the revenue outturn, which is in paragraph 4.1, the capital outturn, which is in paragraph 4.2, and the reserves in paragraph 4.3. So first of all, if I can go to the revenue outturn, which is paragraph 4.1, and it is evident from table 1 that for 14-15 we have a surplus of £114,000 for the year. And I think that this is a result of the effectiveness of the budget board and also the change management board in 14-15, when they've held all budget managers account. So that £114,000 is quite a significant surplus for us. What you will notice is that in Table 1, we have included nearly £900,000 which we set aside into reserves in 14-15. One is £480,000, which is the transformation reserve, and that is in respect of some of the investment costs that we'll need in 15-16 and 16-17, and to look at setting our medium-term financial plan for 16-17 onwards. Then we've got £412,000, which is a contribution to the actual efficiencies reserve, and what this money is set aside for is to reverse the employee terms and conditions which was included within the budget setting for 15-16, and that £412,000 will then reverse that. So if I go on to paragraph 4.2, which is capital outturn, and what you'll notice is that there was capital expenditure of £30.8 million in 14-15. We did have nearly a £900,000 underspend in capital, but this money can be carried forward into this current financial year. So there's no capital monies lost and no funding lost. So itemised in Table 2 is how the capital expenditure was actually funded in 14-15. So going on to paragraph 4.3, which is our council fund reserves, and it's evident that the reserves have increased from £4.411 million to £4.525 million as at last 31st of March. And this equates to 4% of our net revenue budgeted expenditure, and that is in line with the terms of reference of the budget board, where we'd like our reserves to be between 3.5 and 4%. So we're at the top maximum level of that. And that is what I also think is adequate for this authority, and it's satisfactory and for us and to have reserves of around the £4.5 million mark. So if I stop there, that is quite a whistle-stop tour of the accounts, and as I said earlier, that is the executive summary.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Clearly the surplus for the year is as a result of a lot of hard work by a lot of people. The two main directorates shown on Table 1 on page 3, you can see they both came in with a slight underspend, and the work of the Budget Board and indeed the Transformation Board last year helped to deliver this, and I would thank my colleague Councillor Linda Matthews for the work she did as Chair of the Transformation Board to deliver, what was the total figure, about £3 million? How much? £3.8 million worth of savings, so thanks for that. Finally, I'll also stress to members that the production of the accounts is a tremendous task. I mean, it's a very difficult task given the short timescales imposed by Welsh Government, and to deliver them without any qualification and to deliver them in the time that was permitted was, as I say, a sterling piece of work by Adele and her team, and I'm sure all members will join me in thanking them sincerely for their hard work and commending them for their hard work. Having said that, Chair, I will now move us to page 4, recommendation 7.1, that the audited statement of accounts for 2014-15 being the financial year ended 31st of March 2015 be approved. Subject to questions and comments, I move.
Can I have a seconder for that, please?
Yes, Madam Deputy Mayor, I'm happy to second the Deputy Leader.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. It would be wrong and quite churlish of me, as Leader of the Opposition, not to join at this point with the Leader and the Deputy Leader in congratulating our officers on an excellent piece of work. When it was presented to audit on Monday, I think the general feeling on audit was that people had worked extremely hard and done an excellent job, and it's a pleasure to be able to join with that. I have just one question, if I may, and it concerns the Strategic Transformation Reserve and the figures below that of the £892,000. I just ask if I could have an explanation of where that money has been found. Is it because of the underspend in departments, and how we've managed to get nearly £1 million there, Steve, to slide somewhere else, as it were?
It has actually been found because of the underspends which have been shown against both the community services and customer services for 14-15. And what I would state is that at the start of the year, when we reported at Q1, at that stage we were looking to be overspent by about £640,000. But because of all the hard work which has been done through the Budget Board and the Change Management Board, and by every officer as well within the actual services, that has been brought back. And so we've had quite a significant surplus, which then allowed us to set aside some monies in 14-15, which will then help us for 15-16. So that is the actual reason for it, is that there was a plan and to make sure that we did have a significant underspend then at the end of the year.
Any further questions, please? Any comments? The recommendation then at 7.1, can we vote, please? We move on then to item number 4, and that's to be taken by the leader, I understand.
Yes, thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Madam Deputy Mayor, the purpose of the report is to present for approval by Council representations regarding the 2014-15 financial statements. Madam Deputy Mayor, the letter of representation presents to the Auditor General for Wales an opinion on the truth, fairness and proper preparation of the financial statements for 2014-15 and accompanies the audited statement of accounts. These representations give assurance to the appointed auditor that the Chief Financial Officer has fulfilled all obligations in preparing the financial statements for audit, and that they represent a true and fair view of the financial position of the authority. These include preparation in accordance with legislative and accounting requirements and assurance of the effectiveness of internal control to prevent and detect fraud and error. The letter of representation, Madam Deputy Mayor, is set out in Appendix 1, and unless there are any questions, I'm happy to move recommendation in 5.1 on page 6 of the report that representations regarding the 2015 financial statements be approved and communicated to the appointed auditor.
Happy to second that, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Comments? Can we vote on that then, please? We now move on to item 5, and again, it's Councillor Toomey.
Yes, thanks again, Madam Deputy Mayor. Madam Deputy Mayor, the purpose of this report is for councillors to consider and approve the annual governance statement for 2014-15. Madam Deputy Mayor, it is a legislative requirement under the Accounts and Audit Wales Regulations 2014 for councils to produce an annual governance statement known as the AGS. The AGS reports publicly on how the council has complied with its code of corporate governance, describing any governance issues, including how they will be addressed. The AGS is a backward-looking document. The arrangements documented are those relating to the financial year 2014-2015. The AGS must be reported and published with the annual statement of accounts. Madam Deputy Mayor, members will be aware that there is need for a robust process to be undertaken annually to prepare, inform, report and publish the AGS. This entails a challenge process and evaluation of the arrangements in place against those detailed in the local code of corporate governance and best practice framework. This process will identify any significant issues with the governance arrangements that need to be reported within the actual annual governance statement. Madam Deputy Mayor, the Wales Audit Office undertook a review during 2013 of the processes undertaken to produce the AGS, and where they suggested a change to the approach of producing the AGS, and I quote, shift in focus from describing the governance arrangements in place towards comprehensive examination and evaluation of their effectiveness. The process that was followed for the production of the 2014-15 statement was developed to address this suggestion. Internal Audit produced an initial draft of the AGS that was discussed with the Audit Committee, the Governance, Performance, Business Change and Corporate Services Scrutiny Committee, the Corporate Change Management Team, Corporate Leadership Team, myself, the Chief Executive, the Monitoring Officer, the Chief Finance Officer and indeed the external auditors. Following on from that, the AGS is presented to Council tonight along with the Statement of Accounts. The significant issues are identified within the AGS and are detailed in the report to Council, and it should be acknowledged that whilst there are significant issues, actions have been taken and will continue to be taken to address each of them, and that they continue to be monitored by key officers and managers to mitigate any potential impact they may have upon the Council. Madam Deputy Mayor, there are several minor amendments that members are probably aware of to the original report. At this stage, I'd like to ask Mr Gary Evans to just highlight what those changes are before I move on.
Thank you, Councillor. If I could just draw Councillor's attention then to the agenda pack. As was mentioned, there's a few slight amendments. They don't actually alter the outcome of the statement. It was just some corrections required after Audit Committee on Monday the 21st. So if I could refer you to page 21, and it's section 3, paragraph D, and it's the first sentence, and it's been amended from workshops have been held to develop a corporate self-evaluation model, and it now reads, in July, August of 2013, a series of workshops were held to develop a corporate self-evaluation model. Right throughout the document, to bring uniformity into it, we've changed the words from authority to council. And again, going back to the agenda pack on page 22, paragraph G is insertion of text just after the first sentence. So it now reads, in addition, there have been a number of changes required as a result of the Local Government Wales Measure 2011. And then the final amendment is on the pack, page 24, and it's paragraph K, and there's some insertion of text into the second sentence. So it changes it from reading, the whistleblowing policy was updated and amended during 2014-15 to include more detailed monitoring of staff awareness and improved record keeping measures. So it now reads, the whistleblowing policy was updated and amended during 2014-15 to incorporate legislative change, and a programme of work has been agreed to include more detailed monitoring of staff awareness and improved record keeping measures. That's all the amendments for Council, so if I can hand back to the leader.
Yes, thanks Gary. Madam Deputy Mayor, first of all, can I, on behalf of the Council, I know they'll all want to congratulate and thank Gary and his team for the work that they've put in presenting the statement, and in fact for the layout in which it has been presented, which is very easy to follow and to understand. And of course, I'd like to thank the Council's Audit Committee for the work and the slight amendments that they've been able to bring forward as well, that Gary has taken us through just a few minutes ago. With that, Mr Mayor, I'm happy to move the recommendation on 6.1 on page 15 of the report, that the annual governance statement be approved. I so move.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I'm happy to second the recommendation and also add to the Leader's accommodations for the report this year, which I thought was a very easy and good read. Congratulations.
Are there any questions, please? Any comments? Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. I don't want this to become a trend, but really important that I do join with the Leader and the Deputy Leader in congratulating the Audit Department, particularly when you look at page 33 of the report, which makes it perfectly clear that resourcing within audit during the year was under the normal strength. And I think, therefore, not only the changes which have been brought about in an excellent report, but it's been done under quite difficult circumstances as well. So, as Chair of Audit, congratulations to officers for producing the report today.
Any further comments? Can we go to the vote then, please? That's carried. Thank you very much. Item number 6, I believe Councillor Tomey has taken that.
Yes, thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Madam Deputy Mayor, this is a late report to Council. I know members have had it electronically, and by all accounts, most have read it electronically before this evening. So I'll just, it's a very, very straightforward report, but I will go through some of the points, if I may. Madam Deputy Mayor, I'm sure, like me, every member of this council was absolutely appalled at the humanitarian disaster that's been unfolding during the past months in front of our very eyes regarding the increasing Syrian refugee crisis. Members will recall that the tipping point for both the Westminster government and the media in terms of language and attitude towards the crisis was the very distressing images of the 4-year-old Syrian boy, Aylan Kurdi, washed ashore after drowning a couple of weeks ago in the Mediterranean Sea. This report seeks agreement in principle to help if and where we can with other partner agencies following a direct request from Welsh Government. On Thursday of last week, the 17th of September, the First Minister hosted the Wales refugee crisis, during which local government in Wales was represented by the leader of the WLGA, my good friend Councillor Bob Wellington, and also Councillor David Edwards, leader Gwynedd, the WLGA spokesperson for housing, two very able and talented representatives there, Madam Deputy Mayor. Madam Deputy Mayor, a report is being considered by the WLGA Full Council this Friday in Cardiff, and the report will update members on various issues related to the current crisis, such as the Immigration Bill of 2015, the response to the crisis to date, unaccompanied minors into the country, and the asylum dispersal areas in Wales, of which there are 4, and that's Cardiff, Swansea, Newport and Wrexham. Details of any potential refugees are yet unknown, and also, Mr Mayor, Madam Deputy Mayor, its details are unknown at the moment in terms of what, if anything, Merthyr can do. Therefore, the report is asking for agreement in principle support. The recommendations are set out in 6.1 and 6.2 on page 3 of the report, and I move that on 6.1 the Council provide full in principle support to assist in the resettlement of Syrian refugees, providing appropriate and adequate resources are provided to assist in this matter, and 6.2 a report be brought back to Council when the full financial implications are known after the meeting with the WLGA. I'm happy to move that, Madam Deputy Mayor, and also to answer any questions that I'm sure members may have surrounding some, if not all, of the detail.
Can I have a seconder, please?
Yeah, second, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Are there any questions? Councillor Jones?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. I'm sure that we all feel very, very sorry for the Syrian refugee and all of the refugees anyway. I noticed, and I was delighted to see the other week, that we as a council organised a connection point for clothing and so forth for these Syrians. I'm wondering whether that could be continued in any way, because it wasn't just a one-off situation. Clothes are required continually, and I'm wondering if we could do something that wouldn't be a financial burden on the council, that it could be a collection point or something raised.
Yeah, in response to that, Madam Deputy Mayor, what I'd say to Alan is, yeah, I'm sure we'd all agree with your comments, Al. The staff, in fairness to them, initiated that particular response. I've been in discussions actually with the MP and the AM's office over the past week or so, and they are organising similar collections. And what I think it might be a good idea to do might be, I'll have a discussion with Ellis Cooper about this, is to try and coordinate again through Unit 5, where I think we've got at least some capacity there to store this stuff. But I think it is a very good point that you raise, and I'm sure you know, there is something that we'll be able to continue to do, certainly in the very short term, before we know anything further about potential numbers that may be coming to Merthyr.
Madam Mayor, that it's put out in the public domain as much as we possibly can.
Any further questions, please? Any comments? Councillor Thomas?
3 strikes tonight, Madam Deputy Mayor. I'm going to join with the leader yet again. I'm going to have to watch this, but it is a significant problem. You know, speaking as a father and a grandfather, and you watch these pictures on television, no one could be anything but deeply moved by the circumstances that these people find themselves in. All I want to do is to join with the leader and say whatever we can do within the context of the recommendations 6.1 and 6.2, I'm sure that every one of us would want to join and support. Thank you very much.
Any further comments? Can we vote then, please? That's carried. Thank you very much. Move to item 7. There is no other urgent business. And item 8, there is no further communications. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending. Safe journey home.